It's of course, but we are still it's within SADC. We remain citizens of SADC. It's quite a moment. It's a process. I'm sure everyone has been waiting for this. This is the crucial moment of the very summit. The real objective itself.
And you, Dr. Mari?
The constitutionalists has walked the talk. We are very happy by the process that we have witnessed. Even though we are said that we are no longer the chairpersons of SADC. Yeah.
We will still remain SADC chairpersons.
Indeed.
Having been crowned a king or a queen at one point, you will still remember, you will still remain relevant.
Sure,
yeah, indeed. So right now we get to cross over to Antananarivo in Madagascar, where the proceedings are underway, so that we get to listen to the address by the president.
To move on to listen to the statement from the SADC chairperson, His Excellency Dr. Emerson Dambuzo Mnangagwa, President of the Republic of Zimbabwe and chairperson of SADC. Shall we please welcome him to the podium through a round of applause?
Your Majesty, King Mswati III, Your Excellency, Mr. Henry Angelina, President of the Republic of Madagascar, and incoming chairperson of SADC, Your Excellencies, Heads of State and Government, Honorable Dr. Sata, Minister of Foreign Affairs of the Republic of Madagascar, and Chairperson of SADC Council of Ministers, Honorable Professor Moreira, Minister of Foreign Affairs, International Trade of the Republic of Zimbabwe, and outgoing Chairperson of the SADC Council of Ministers. Ladies and gentlemen, comrades and friends, I am honored to address the 45th Ordinary Summit of SADC Heads of State and Government, graciously convened under the esteemed leadership of my dear brother, His Excellency Angelina, President of the Republic of Madagascar, and incoming chairperson of SADC. May I express my profound gratitude to you, Your Excellency, and to you, the government and people of the Republic of Madagascar, for the warm hospitality extended me and my delegation since my arrival here. Our presence here attests to the enduring solidarity that unites us in our quest for a peaceful, inclusive, modern and industrialized region where citizens enjoy sustainable economic development, justice and freedom. Your Majesty, Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, this year we lost one of our founding fathers, a revolutionary, His Excellency Dr. Samuel Muyoma, former President of the Republic of Namibia, who also lost the revered statesman, His Excellency Dr. Edgar Chabalungu, former President of the Republic of Zambia. May their enduring legacies bring solace and inspiration to their families and the SADC region. May their souls continue to rest in peace. It is my pleasure to welcome Her Excellency Dr. Nandi Ndaitwa, who is joining our summit as the head of state and government of our sister Republic of Namibia. Welcome. I am confident that her astute leadership and experience will provide valuable insights in shaping the strategic direction of our regional organization. Your Majesty, Your Excellencies, this event marks the end of Zimbabwe's chairmanship. On behalf of the people of government, I express our gratitude to you, my brothers and sisters, the African Commission and United Nations and international corporate partners for the partnership and support rendered to my government, indeed to me, during the past year. It has truly been a privilege to serve our region and work with you all. I would like to extend my heartfelt appreciation to SADC Executive Secretary, His Excellency Mr. Magosi, and his team for their dedication to the achievement of our shared objectives in the region. The midpoint of our regional blueprint, the regional indicative strategic plan, comes at a time when the world is witnessing unprecedented geostrategic tensions and the global economic policy uncertainties. We express gratitude the Executive Secretary for his report on the performance of our region over the past 5 years, which shows areas where we have laid a firm foundation in advancing our vision as a region. It also highlights the unprecedented threats facing our region. The most important suggests areas that require our introspection and the mid-term review, which is underway, must be leveraged for this purpose. Events of the SADC Industrialization Week are now an annual occurrence, and platforms facilitate environments for networking towards enhanced industrialization, trade, and investment. Regrettably, our exports continue to be driven by primary products, and intra-regional trade remains far less than our business with other regions. Our prosperity is inevitably tied to the success of our neighbors and that of our region as a whole and the continent. Majesty, my dear Excellency, our efforts towards food and nutrition security and development of our agro-based value chains have borne mixed results due to adverse climate events. Not deterred, and instead step up investment in innovative strategies for climate change adaptation, mitigation and resilience. I applaud our incoming chairperson, His Excellency Ranjolina, for the timely theme of the court, advancing industrialization, agricultural transformation, and energy transition for a resilient SADC and of These rallies us to accelerate our efforts towards an industrialized, resilient region where citizens have food and nutrition security, as well as energy self-sufficiency. I am encouraged by the progress we have made in the stewardship of our shared natural resources. The SADC Trans-Frontier Conservation Area, the National Conference Summit, was held in Harare this May. Gathering provided us with an opportunity to reaffirm our combined commitment to the sustainable utilization of God-given resources for the benefit of our local communities. Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, the integration we have heavily depends on our ability to develop infrastructure, which facilitates the free movement of our people, capital, goods and services across our borders. Major milestones have been recorded in implementing high-impact regional infrastructure projects. However, the development of strategic corridors, one-stop border posts, and digital infrastructure must remain top priority in our region. The full potential of our regional bloc has regrettably been largely inhibited by budgetary constraints. It is important, apparently, that our SADC region agent comes up with inventive and sustainable sources of funding. In this regard, let us not shy away from stepping into partnerships with the private sector, our diaspora, and other non-traditional sources. The SADC Regional Development Fund is a low-hanging fruit, which, when operationalized, will provide alternative financing for critical infrastructure projects. I'm pleased to report that Zimbabwe has ratified the protocol. However, the number of ratifications remains far below the threshold required. The need to expedite internal processes on this matter within our respective jurisdictions is essential to drive progress. Our region remains high alert with regard to public health emergencies. Successes and gains in the fight against malaria, tuberculosis, HIV/AIDS should be safeguarded. Financing gap created by the change in policy by some of our partners must be closed. We also need to enhance the representation of women, the youth, and persons with disabilities in all socio-economic and political endeavors in our region. Your Majesty, Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, collectively, We realize that faith in developing institutions that underpin democracy and good governance. Together with His Excellency Advocate Boko, President of the Republic of Botswana, we commissioned the construction of a regional logistics depot in Botswana. The facility plays an important role in enhancing our preparedness and response to conflict and humanitarian emergencies. We remain grateful to the government people of the Republic of Botswana for supporting this project. Member states are urged to equally provide requisite funding to ensure the timely completion of this critical infrastructure. The peace and stability prevailing in our region is worth applauding as reflective of our joint obligation to silencing guns. I commend the outgoing chairperson of the organ, Excellency Dr. Samir Hassan, and organ Troika member states for their gallant work over the past year for the realization of durable peace and security in our region. We have remained steadfast in our commitment to ensuring peace to the eastern parts of the DRC. We appointed 5 former heads of state to facilitate inclusive dialogue, build trust, and peace-building initiatives. We welcome the outcome of the joint SADC summit held earlier this week, and the African-led peace process, which reinforced our philosophy of African solutions to African problems. The peace agreements brokered by the USA and Qatar are welcome and complement our African-led processes towards peace, stability, and development in Eastern DRC. Your Majesty, Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, comrades and friends. As the SADC region, we firmly believe in the cardinal principles of the United Nations Charter with regards to sovereignty, equality, and territorial integrity of nations being unilateralism and cohesion, among other inexcusable violations of international law, cannot be allowed to become the norm within the Committee of Nations. The future well-being, development, and the higher quality of life of all our peoples, particularly us in Africa and the global South, depend on just, inclusive, and the rules-based multilateral system. For the good of both present and the future generations, us, the current crop of leaders, have a duty to defend and continuously improve the international order bequeathed to us by our predecessors. And that spirit, allow me to express to you, our brothers and sisters of SADC and Africa, for resolutely standing with Zimbabwe in our cause for the unconditional removal of evil sanctions imposed on us, Zimbabwe, by some Western countries.
certains pays de l'Occident.
These are indeed a hindrance to the prosperity of the entire SADC region. Zimbabwe remains open, ready to engage and re-engage with all progressive members of the international community. Finally, my dear brothers and sisters, Your Majesty and Your Excellency, as I hand over the mantle to my dear brother, His Excellency Rajulina, my younger brother, I would like to wish him, my dear young brother, every success in the discharge of your responsibilities. I also wish Your Excellency, Dr. Lazarus Chakwera, success in the execution of your important mandate. I'm confident your leadership towards advancing our regional integration agenda. I'm confident that the region will lend you, Excellency, President Rajulina, the same level of cooperation support as we enjoyed. We all have the solemn duty to build a stronger and more prosperous SADC. The SADC we want shall only be built by ourselves and no one else. I thank you all for your kind attention. I wish us all fruitful deliberations. Long live SADC. Long live our unity. Long live solidarity. I thank you. Merci beaucoup. Obrigado, asante sana.
Thank you, Your Excellency, President Dr. Emerson Dambuzo Mnangagwa. Your Excellency will kindly request you to remain on the podium because we will now be handing over the chairship from the Republic of Zimbabwe to the Republic of Madagascar.
À présent, nous demandons respectueusement Son Excellence, le Président de la République de Madagascar, de bien vouloir rejoindre Son Excellence, Monsieur le Président de la République de Zimbabwe, pour la cérémonie de passation de la présidence de la SADC.
Handover ceremony for the chairmanship of SADC.
We're now going to place the handover ceremony whereby His Excellency Dr. Emerson Dambuzo Mnangagwa will present the chairperson's badge to the new SADC chairperson, His Excellency President Rajulina.
Le nouveau président est solennellement décoré de l'insigne de la présidence et recevra le maillot ainsi que la plaque nominative du président, symbole de l'assomption officielle de ses fonctions à la tête de la SADC.
I'm sure the chairperson was confirming the pin is actually inscribed with the name of the chairperson and the next two operational tools to be handed.
Of course, right there we get to witness that it is the handover, takeover ceremony. And we get to see that His Excellency President Emerson Dambuzo Mnangagwa is handing over the chairmanship to the President of Madagascar, His Excellency Andry Rajoelina. You can see that the atmosphere is filled with so much gratitude. People are celebrating, and this time they are saying that it is now time for Madagascar. Dr. Mpambi, what does this mean for SADC region, getting another person coming through with the chairmanship and a new term of office?
Well, I think it is a sign that we are one people. We are living in unionism, in a coordinated effort, and it's actually an assurance that the idea of coming together as the Global South lives.
You can see how they are excited there.
Indeed. I think this is testifying that we can do it as the Southern Africa. We can actually water this vision and pass it on. I think basically that's the idea.
Dr. Mari, you can tell that the president of Zimbabwe is excited, and of course you can tell that he's really saying that I managed to run this smoothly and successfully.
Indeed, because non-verbal communication speaks a lot. From what we are saying, indeed, we are seeing that these two people, they are going to work together towards making sure that SADC vision and mission go forward. Because when you become the relationship between the incoming and the outgoing is that you understand one another, you help one another. So it's not like we have surrendered the chairmanship and we will not be playing any role. We play the role on the sidelines. But we will actively be updating where we have left, what we have done. So we play the advisory role. So from what we have witnessed, indeed, we have seen a seamless coordination, a relationship. Indeed, we are happy. So is the SADC.
And indeed, when we see that people collaborate for one purpose, it moves SADC forward.
Indeed. Look, this takes us back. Why was SADC formed? 1980. These are evolving steps of SADC. These are mature steps that are being taken by SADC. This is actually a sign. If you witness, if you go even North Africa, some of the blocks are actually crumbling. So this is a sign that the vision of 1980, the contributions of 1992, when we saw the signing of the SADC treaty, and all these other efforts, they are actually yielding, of course, results. We are seeing SADC becoming stronger and stronger.
And of course, to those that are just joining us, in case you don't know what's taking place, today is the 45th summit, ordinary summit of SADC heads of state and government happening in Antananarivo in Madagascar, where we are witnessing the handover and takeover ceremony of the SADC chairmanship. And like I said earlier on, somebody was asking Madagascar where it is. I think we explained that earlier on, that Madagascar separated from Africa during the Jurassic period around 160 to 180 million years ago, and it became an isolated or an island country, but they're still part of us as the SADC region. It boasts of its lush rainforest, wonderful beaches that they have. Indeed, Madagascar has a lot to offer, not just to the SADC region, but to the whole world, as we get to help them amplify their voices and be known out there in the world. What can you say about Madagascar now that is happening in Madagascar?
Indeed, as he has been highlighted, that the principles of SADC, when it was founded, is on the basis of oneness. So we are Madagascar is Zimbabwe, and so are other SADC member states. We are a one continent that is moving towards the dream by Kwame Nkrumah of having a one solid block that speaks with one voice, that have a uniformity in terms of government, trade, military cooperation, or other things. So we are moving towards the dream of the founding fathers of the SADC.
And we are also witnessing that despite the challenges, despite the barriers that separate us, like earlier on we were talking about continental rifting, but it didn't move us away from concentrating on Madagascar, like what Dr. Mari alluded to, that we are one. Madagascar is us, and we are Madagascar. So right now we will be crossing over to Madagascar, Antananarivo, to listen to the speech by His Excellency Andry Rajoelina, who will be addressing the audiences. Stay tuned.
Nous remercions jeunes talentueux pour cette belle performance.
Youth for their performance.
Sa Majesté, Excellence, Mesdames et Messieurs,
Majesty,
c'est
Excellencies,
avec une immense
ladies and gentlemen,
considération
it's
que nous
with a high
invitons Son
consideration
Excellence,
that
Monsieur
we
Andry
ask His
Radziwiłł,
Excellency,
président de la République de Madagascar et président en exercice de la SADC, à prononcer son discours d'acceptation, marquant officiellement sa prise de fonction à la présidence de la SADC.
Vous avez pu apercevoir et constater que les Malagas, notre jeunesse, nous avons le talent, le savoir-faire, l'hospitalité. Et c'est pour cette raison que je disais tout à l'heure que nous vous accueillons les bras ouverts, mais aussi avec le cœur, avec les nations et États membres de la SADC. Sa Majesté, Excellences, Mesdames et Messieurs, les chefs d'État et de gouvernement, honorables invités, Rivoka Malagasy, Mesdames et Messieurs. En ce moment solennel, c'est avec fierté, sens de responsabilité, du devoir et de gratitude que j'accepte la haute mission pour présider la SADC. Pour présider, mais également animer, avec la volonté de poursuivre et de renforcer notre œuvre commune pour une Afrique australe plus forte, intégrée et prospère. Ce sommet est un moment historique pour Madagascar, car depuis notre adhésion en 2005, c'est-à-dire il y a 20 ans de cela, 25 ans de cela, c'est la première fois que nous accueillons un sommet de la SADC à Madagascar. Et j'espère que nous avons été à la hauteur de vos attentes, mes chers amis, chefs d'État et de gouvernement. Je tiens à exprimer ma reconnaissance et ma gratitude à Sa Majesté, à l'ensemble des chefs d'État et de gouvernement de l'Afrique australe pour la confiance que vous m'avez accordée en m'ayant élu et en me confiant aujourd'hui la présidence de notre organisation pour l'année 2025 et 2026. C'est également avec honneur que je succède Son Excellence Monsieur Emerson Mnangagwa, président de la République de Zimbabwe, dont le leadership à notre organisation, nous avons pu franchir des étapes importantes sous sa direction. Je salue ici son engagement sans faille dans la gestion des crises, sa fermeté dans la défense de nos intérêts communs et son attachement aux valeurs de la solidarité régionale. Monsieur le Président, vous avez tenu le flambeau avec rigueur et je m'engage à le porter avec ferveur et détermination. Majesté, Excellences, Mesdames et Messieurs, notre continent, le continent africain est uni par le ciel et le soleil qui couvrent nos pays, par la terre qui nous nourrit et par l'océan qui nous relie. Et c'est ce qui a inspiré notre thème d'aujourd'hui. Promouvoir l'industrialisation, la transformation du système agricole et la transition énergétique pour une SADC résiliente. Tel sera le thème durant mon mandat à la présidence de la SADC. Il est clair, ambitieux et porteur d'avenir. Il traduit notre ambition commune de renforcer la résilience de nos économies, valoriser nos ressources et assurer le bien-être de nos populations. Ce thème n'est pas un simple slogan, c'est un pacte, un engagement engagement. C'est la feuille de route d'une région qui veut écrire son destin avec ses propres mains et pour ses peuples. Promouvoir l'industrialisation, c'est produire et transformer localement tout ce dont nos populations ont besoin. C'est également réduire les importations, innover, bâtir des usines et des chaînes de valeur régionales capables de créer des emplois décents et durables. Avec détermination, ambition et résilience, nous pouvons avancer vers l'industrialisation de nos pays avec des programmes nationaux efficaces et pointus. Et pour relancer notre croissance, nous devons aller plus loin, car aujourd'hui, le commerce entre nos pays ne représente que 18% seulement de notre commerce local. C'est trop peu. Il est temps d'industrialiser davantage, de mieux connecter nos économies et de renforcer notre autonomie collective. À Madagascar, depuis les 5 dernières années, nous avons emboîté le pas en installant des infrastructures et des parcs semi-industriels et industriels sur tout le territoire national afin de stimuler la croissance. Je crois fermement que le développement passe par l'investissement en misant sur le potentiel de chaque pays, son capital humain et la volonté politique de ses dirigeants. Par ailleurs, la transformation agricole est la clé pour combattre la pauvreté, car notre souveraineté alimentaire est le socle de notre indépendance économique. Alors plantons aujourd'hui les graines de la prospérité, de la dignité et de l'autonomie pour que demain, nos peuples se nourrissent eux-mêmes. À Madagascar, dans le domaine de l'agriculture, nous avons soutenu la transformation et la valorisation des produits locaux. Nous avons initié le processus de mécanisation de notre agriculture et nous avons accompagné nos paysans en les dotant de semences et d'intrants améliorés. Notre objectif est de doubler, voire même tripler le rendement agricole, passant de 3 à 9 tonnes à l'hectare pour atteindre l'autosuffisance alimentaire. Madagascar dispose d'un immense potentiel agricole. Sur 36 millions d'hectares de terres arables, seulement 2 millions sont cultivés aujourd'hui. Mais en tant que troisième pays producteur de riz en Afrique, après le Nigeria et l'Égypte, nous visons à devenir le grenier risicole du continent pour appuyer l'autosuffisance et la souveraineté alimentaire régionale. Je souhaite que vous partagez une citation que j'ai écrite et que je répète souvent à mes compatriotes. Un bon père de famille est celui qui sait nourrir sa famille. Et un bon président est celui qui sait nourrir sa population. Et en tant que président de la SADC et président de Madagascar, je serai et je veux être un bon président pour notre population et pour notre communauté. Dans chacun de nos pays, en modernisant nos méthodes de culture et en accompagnant nos agriculteurs, nous pouvons augmenter nos rendements pour passer d'une agriculture de substitution à une agriculture de transformation et d'exportation. Enfin, il n'y a pas de développement sans une énergie fiable, accessible et abordable. Accélérer la transition énergétique, c'est préparer un avenir propre et vert, en exploitant nos immenses potentiels solaires, éoliens et hydroélectriques. Si je prends le cas de mon pays, dans le domaine de l'énergie, nous avons lancé des projets solaires et hydroélectriques pour garantir un accès à l'électricité au plus grand nombre et accélérer ainsi la transition énergétique et afin d'atteindre une production à 70% vert d'ici 2028. Tel est notre défi, tel est notre projet. Donc aujourd'hui encore, de nombreux pays comme dans l'Afrique australe, la production énergétique repose principalement sur des centrales thermiques. Cette dépendance aux énergies fossiles a un coût économique énorme. Alors investir dans l'énergie renouvelable est un devoir pour un avenir durable et inclusif. Les énergies renouvelables représentent un investissement sûr et rentable. Cela permet de créer des emplois et d'offrir aux futures générations un cadre de vie décent. L'Afrique a l'opportunité de devenir la vitrine de la transition énergétique et de s'affirmer comme un leader dans la lutte contre le changement climatique. Nous affronterons ensemble les conséquences et les aléas des dérèglements climatiques, car les cyclones qui sont de plus en plus fréquents et de plus en plus dévastateurs touchent presque chaque année Madagascar, Maurice, le Malawi, le Mozambique, le Zimbabwe et bien d'autres pays sur le continent. Majesté, Excellences, Mesdames et Messieurs, nous savons que les défis sont grands et que la route est semée d'obstacles. Mais avec une vision claire et la volonté politique, rien, absolument rien n'est impossible. Nous savons d'où nous venons. Ensemble, nous avons vaincu l'apartheid. Nos ancêtres ont payé le prix fort pour notre liberté. Ils ont donné leur vie, leur sang pour notre indépendance. Et pendant les périodes difficiles, Madagascar a toujours été aux côtés de ses pays frères de l'Afrique australe dans leur quête de liberté et de dignité. Fidèle à son engagement panafricaniste, mon pays a souvent et a toujours soutenu le Frémilo au Mozambique, le MPLA en Angola, l'ANC en Afrique du Sud, le SWAPO en Namibie. À une époque où les mouvements portaient l'espérance d'une libéralisation face au colonialisme et à l'apartheid, Madagascar a accueilli plusieurs leaders sur notre sol. Madagascar a accueilli également et a transmis de notre terre la radio Freedom de l'Afrique du Sud pour lutter et pour avoir l'indépendance de son pays, l'Afrique du Sud. D'ailleurs, nous avons encore et aussi accueilli des exilés sud-africains, notamment des intellectuels, des étudiants et des militants politiques, mais notre contribution la plus marquante, c'est l'hébergement de la radio Freedom que je disais tout à l'heure, de la radio de l'ANC. Cet appui constant, qu'il soit diplomatique, politique ou moral, a contribué à renforcer la solidarité entre nos peuples et poser les bases de la coopération qui nous unit aujourd'hui encore au sein de la SADC. Madagascar s'engage à préserver l'héritage de cette histoire commune. Notre fraternité demeure indéfectible et continue d'inspirer notre engagement collectif pour la paix, la prospérité et l'intégration régionale. Aujourd'hui, c'est nous, dirigeants et leaders de la SADC. C'est à nous de poursuivre cette lutte pour la paix, la prospérité et la dignité de notre continent dans la solidarité. C'est pourquoi j'appelle à l'unité et à l'action. L'heure n'est plus à la réflexion, mais aux stratégies concertées. L'heure n'est plus à la dépendance, mais à l'affirmation souveraine. L'heure n'est plus à la lenteur, mais à à l'accélération, à l'audace et à l'efficacité. Majesté, Excellences, Mesdames et Messieurs, sous ma présidence, je m'engage à renforcer la cohésion politique et économique pour que la SADC parle d'une seule voix, car notre force réside dans notre union. Négocier collectivement avec les grandes puissances et défendre nos intérêts dans les échanges commerciaux, à l'instar de l'AGOA. Assurer la sécurité et la stabilité, car il n'y a pas de développement sans paix et stabilité. Nous privilégierons toujours le dialogue pour résoudre les conflits. Nous allons également accélérer les projets industriels et énergétiques d'envergure régionale et faire de la transformation agricole une priorité pour que le Sud puisse se nourrir par lui-même. C'est ainsi que notre région se projettera avec confiance vers l'avenir. Mesdames et Messieurs, Excellences, le monde nous regarde. L'Afrique nous observe. Nos peuples attendent des résultats. Alors travaillons ensemble avec détermination pour bâtir une organisation qui inspire le continent et protège l'avenir de nos enfants. Et si je devais formuler un vœu, ce serait celui-ci. Une SADC unie et indivisible. Une SADC pacifique où règne la paix et la stabilité. Une SADC dont le développement est orienté sur son peuple en s'appuyant sur le potentiel des femmes et des jeunes. Et une SADC dont les valeurs patriotiques et panafricaines sont profondément ancrées. Chers leaders, frères et sœurs, l'histoire nous a appris que lorsque nous choisissons l'unité, nous faisons reculer l'instabilité. Lorsque nous cultivons la solidarité, nous faisons germer la prospérité. Alors aujourd'hui, je vous appelle à marcher ensemble, en bataille rangée, à parler d'une seule voix pour une SADC forte et prospère. Que ce sommet soit le point de départ d'une nouvelle étape où l'industrialisation devient réalité, où notre énergie éclaire chaque foyer, où notre union fait notre puissance. Vive la SADC, vive l'Afrique unie et prospère. Je vous remercie de votre attention.
The acceptance speech by the President of Madagascar, His Excellency Mr. Andry Rajoelina, right there, who just took over the chairmanship of SADC chairmanship. Amazing times indeed for Madagascar. The whole of SADC is excited. They're happy. Is being congratulated by all the presidents from the SADC bloc. And of course, the people are paying respects and honoring him for such a lovely speech that he delivered there in Madagascar. Of course, it is happening in Antananarivo in Madagascar today. It is the 45th summit of SADC, or 45th Ordinary Summit of SADC Heads of State and Government happening today. The live proceedings that we were giving you, and we are coming to you live from our Pocket Hill studios once again. My name is Rumbi Chakanza, and of course, there are different sentiments from Zimbabweans as they have just handed over their chairmanship. So right now, I'm just going to briefly read out some of the messages on our Facebook platform. We have Tsitsi saying, Hansi, is it not too soon? How are we going to brag in the streets now that we are no longer SADC chairs? Somebody's like, ko DJ we SADC vachaita say. SADC gone, waiting also to be the first secretary, then the president. Congratulations, Mr. President, for the SADC chair. This is coming through from Shorai Marongeza. Thank you so much for coming through on our Facebook platform with your comments. Of course, I'm still in studio with Dr. Mpambi and Dr. Mare right here. Your key takeaways from the president of Zimbabwe's speech, Comrade Emerson Dambudzo Mnangagwa. What are the key takeaways from his speech?
Well, I think the speech was rich. I will probably run on the key takeaways of interest. I will start with his core, which I want to believe that it was a call to the United Nations. He actually touched on the unconditional removal of sanctions imposed on Zimbabwe by the West. I want to believe that he was actually taking, of course, advantage of the platform not only to address SADC citizens but the world citizens, probably to of course call on the UN to invoke the
so it's
probably
a call for help, for action.
Yes, I think it's a challenge to the UN. The UN Charter itself actually speaks about of course the respect of the sovereignty of member states, the equality before international law of every member state, but we have seen the US of course imposing illegal sanctions on Zimbabwe. And of course, South Africa next door is also being threatened. So I want to believe it has been a clarion call. But of course, fast forward, he has also reiterated the commitment of SADC in support of women. Of course, we have seen the welcoming of the Namibian president, Her Excellency President Netumbo Nandi Ndaitwa. Of course, it's a celebration for us as women of SADC. We know we have got, of course, President Samia Suluhu from Tanzania. A lot of women are being, of course, supported. We see that our leadership is actually in the spirit of upholding Beijing Conference, Maputo Protocol, all those with charters, including our own nationalized constitution. And let me, of course, also touch on how the president, of course, has touched on issues of promoting the persons with disability. I want to believe he is also, of course, bringing down the issue of upholding the UNCRPD. That's a convention on the respect of the rights of persons with disability. And for your own information, this is about 15 to 16% of world population, SADC population, Zimbabwean population. The president, I want to believe, is the right person, of course, to have handed over such a speech, particularly about this constituency. This is accounting for about 63 million estimate SADC citizens, persons with disability. There is a lot that we, the region can learn, because we are still in the process of SADC to put in place the infrastructure, the instruments to support that. Zimbabwe actually have got a national disability policy, as an example, which was signed into such an active policy 2021 by His Excellency, the President of the Republic, President Idi Mnangagwa. So, of interest, I've picked this, and I think SADC has a lot to pluck and, of course, learn from.
You are bringing in issues to do with the women, inclusivity, persons with disabilities, and the youth as well.
Indeed.
Those are three, what can I say? People before, they would say that it's the marginalized groups. Now that they are being put in positions of in the economy sphere, political sphere, does it enhance SADC operations?
Indeed, we are speaking about upgrading the mantra, leaving no one or no place behind. We are seeing that the president is actually is walking the talk, even at a regional level. So for him to bring such out, I want to believe that it has been quite a remarkable moment for the SADC people. And of interest, we can tell that even in sync, we saw the president of Madagascar actually singing from the same hymn book. It speaks about continuity. It speaks about a commitment, a regional commitment, to make sure that all the affirmance, all the submissions by His Excellency are not in vain. We have got an assurance that the legacy, his legacy, is going to proceed, of course, after handing over to the Madagascar president.
Dr. Mari, then coming to you, His Excellency President Emmerson Mnangagwa, he touched on points to do with improving the disaster funds, and also Zim re-engaging and doing the engage and re-engaging initiative. And of course, he spoke about good governance as well, and African solutions to African problems. What does this speak into?
When we talk of African solutions for African problem, this is a new dimension to issues of peace and security. In 2000, the UN adopted the issue of human security. Security these days has moved, the reference point of security has moved from the state to citizens. So when now we define or look at issues of peace and security, they are now starting at individual level. For once we address insecurities at individual level, we are addressing insecurities at community, social, community, provincial, national, regional, and international. So it is through that perspective now we are saying African solution to African problems. Because the states are now looking at the micro aspect of
So we're
peace.
looking at the African context now.
Yes. Who we are now defining who we are. If we have our own indigenous knowledge systems that we have that are in place, we are now strengthening those so that peace begins with me at individual level. So once an individual now value the issue of peace, you transcend that character. We are now changing behavior, moving towards behavior change. In the past, what did we have before we started to move towards African solution to African problems? Whenever we have problems, we would have a microphone screaming for outsiders to intervene in our situation. So Africans are now moving towards self-determination, self-defining of who we are. Where do we want to go? That's the reason why we are now seeing a new trajectory in issues of peace. We are now moving towards peace transformation. We are no longer about conflict prevention, but we are now moving towards transformation. What do we transform? Our systems, our laws, our policies, and everything. We, not them. Because if you invite an outsider, you can't prescribe the solution that the person is going to provide. That's the reason why over years you would see the prominence of peacekeepers doing this, and some guns intervene. Because you have invited an outsider into your situation. So the issue that is being talked about by His Excellency, that was also reiterated also by the new SADC chair, is of fundamental importance is if ever we want to achieve what we call sustainable peace. Yes.
Now that you've talked about sustainable peace, he
Yes.
also mentioned that we need inventive sources that can help us with sustainable funding. Dr. Abigail Mpambi, how can we achieve that?
Well, I think we need to appreciate that he who funds controls. And we need to look inwards. Intra-trade, we need to, of course, look at how can we value add beneficiation question with the resources that we have. I think it's we are fast passing through this era where we would probably blindly think that the aid question is going to aid us out of problems. Aid can actually be the cause of our problems. So we need to make sure that we look inwards. As SADC, let's promote intra-trade. As Africa, we already have protocols, we have agreements, we have special arrangements on special economic zones. We need, of course, to make sure that we promote our own products. We promote our own the ease of doing business. We had, of course, our leaders speaking to issues of diversifying and making sure that there is ease of doing business within the borders, one-stop border posts, and of course we need to remove unnecessary bureaucratic routes when of course our own people want to probably trade people to people, business to business within our own regions. And I think if we go that direction, we can liberate ourselves in terms of funding, because for as long as we still want to rely on writing proposal, in trying to impress someone so that you receive funding to aid yourself. You know, every country, when we rise to a certain level, you realize that also these are member states, our other countries, they run their own interests. Their foreign policy may not be our own foreign policy. So this is when we get issues about mapping, issues around neocolonialism itself through aid, through this issue of funding. So the president, the outgoing SADC chairman, our president Idi Mnangagwa, actually touched on that issue to say we need to revisit the issue of SADC funding mechanisms. And I think even the incoming SADC chairman has also touched on that. We need to take to practicality the issue of the industrialization of SADC beyond the theory. What are the mechanisms that are needed? What is step number one? Step number two, we need to make sure we open up the private sector must connect to this. So we need to take this into practicality. We need to provide enabling environment, the ease of doing business, our informal sectors across the SADC region. How are we going to upgrade our informal sectors? So we need to be deliberate about this. I like the statement from President of Madagascar. He said the issue of solidarity is a deliberate move. We do it deliberately. We craft it ourselves. We follow it ourselves. We sustain it ourselves. So such a commitment needs, of course, to be backed by action so that we can of course, get to the achieved and desired goals.
Yeah, indeed, on the issue of funding has been alluded to. We have some structures that are there that can help in issues of peace, but they are underfunded. For example, we have the regional national early warning systems that are supposed to conduct some research, advise on early interventions in order to prevent conflicts from happening. But if you look at the funding, we are waiting for donors, as been alluded to. So if we wait for a donor to a structure that is supposed to give you peace, what are you doing? Are you not trading your peace? Once you now have problems, we again look outside ourselves because of the donor dependence kind of a syndrome. Then where do we get? We get to the DRC issue. Give us your resources so that we intervene. We go to Mozambican issue. We have a problem of terrorism. What do? Private armies now saying, can you give us the job? In exchange for what? For your resources. Are we doing good as a regional bloc? But during his chairmanship, are you aware that for the first time, we don't want to, of course, to appear as if we are clapping for our own president. But whenever he make a remarkable achievement, we must acknowledge it. Out of all the member states to SADC, only one country is not fully subscribed.
As we get to wrap up this program, your last words to the nation, not just to the nation, to the SADC region at large, from what you observed today, what was delivered by the President Andry Rajoelina, and of course what happened on the proceedings that we are following.
Oh, maybe my last words is that I want people to simplify SADC and understand that SADC, yes, are these 16 member countries, but beyond that, SADC is me and you. When you appreciate that, you have a role to take. And at the center of this role is patriotism, loving your country, loving thyself, protecting ourselves. Well, all these things, they start with me, they start with you. Once we transform our minds and appreciate who we are, we marry our identity to this SADC. I think we can achieve together across the board, social, political, economic, because everyone is going to define themselves aligning themselves to the real SADC, which is me and you.
Of course, the late former president used to say that peace begins with me, it begins with you, and it begins with all of us. Your parting words, Dr. Mari?
The issue of decoloniality, the problem that are affecting us, majority of them, they are foreign. The borders, they are artificial. Who we were before colonization, we were one community with shared value systems. We would trade amongst ourselves. We would cherish peace. So we go back to the fundamentals and make decoloniality of our mindset and believe in who we are. Like the parting words of His Excellency, he talked about a SADC that is built by its own citizens. Nika inovakwa ne venevayo, SADC inovakwa ne venevayo. If we really look into, if we move that agenda and make it a philosophy, a philosophy for SADC going forward, like I've alluded to, whenever a leader is outgoing, it's the person that is outgoing, but the idea, His Excellency the President, still remain as an idea. What were his ideas? The same way we still have the ideas of, like what I've said, Julius Nyerere, we talked about them, we talked about Kwame Nkrumah. We are no longer with them, but their ideas, we still have them. So if possible, let us tap into the wisdom of our leaders and make sure that we make the important ideas live.
Wise words coming through from Dr. Mare. They're leaving no one and no place behind. Anzinika, Inovakwa Neve Nevayo. Let's bring back the value of Ubuntu, who we were before. Let's stick to the basics, and as we embrace technology, let's make sure that we embrace it in a way that it will keep on benefiting us and never divide us whatsoever way. Ladies and gentlemen, this has been the live broadcast of the 45th Ordinary Summit of the SADC of Heads of State and Government that was happening in Antananarivo in Madagascar, where we got to witness the handover takeover ceremony where His Excellency Comrade Emerson Dambuzo Mnangagwa was handing over the chairmanship to the newly appointed SADC chairperson of the Republic of Madagascar, His Excellency Mr. Andry Rajoelina. Of course, it was running under the theme Advancing Industrialization, Agricultural Transformation, as well as Energy Transition for a Resilient SADC. Thank you so much for joining us right here on ZBC TV. And if you missed any of the proceedings, feel free to visit our Facebook platform. That is ZBC News Online. And of course, I'd like to say thank you so much to our wonderful guests in studio, Dr. Mari and Dr. Abigail Mupambi, for coming through and help us unpack this ceremony as it was happening live. Thank you so much to our crew behind the scenes for the wonderful job. My name is Rumbi Chakanza. Have a pleasant viewing and God bless SADC.